2026 is the year I'm finally going to be taking my creativity seriously. Today, we're going to be creating my definitive plan for how 2026 is going to be my best writing year yet. I'm going to be making all of my goals for this year in real time with you. We're going to be making a vision board, we're going to be making goals on my Notion page, and we're also going to be writing out some goals by hand and then sticking them up on the wall around my desk in front of me. At the beginning of last year, I had no idea that I was going to begin writing again and making videos again. If last year was the year that I focused on simply doing those things again, 2026 is going to be the year that I focus on trying to make them even more of a priority. If you watched any of my videos last year, you would know that I was constantly struggling to write and make videos while both working a part-time job, especially during the summertime. I was working a ton. And then once September started, I was not only working still, but then I was going to school, starting my second year of university, and it was the most challenging semester that I've ever had to go through. So I think it's important for me to announce that there's something that is actually happening to me at the beginning of this year that is definitely changing the way that I am viewing my goal setting. For the first time in a very long time, I'm about to be unemployed. I haven't really talked about it much on here, but for the last few months, I've actually been working a different job than I had during the summer. I was working a seasonal retail job. So heading into 2026, heading into making these goals, I am going full steam ahead. I am leaving everything behind me in the past, all of my jobs I've worked that I've poured way too much energy into, and I'm going to be focusing on channeling all of that energy, all of that time, all of it into my writing and into making my videos. I feel like I should also mention that I do live with my parents, so there was a pretty major reason why I can actually afford to be unemployed for a little bit. Anyways, that is all just one big preface to say that we are going hard this year with my writing and with my content. I'm going to get into more details about how I'm going to be doing that once I get to making my actual goals. But first, I thought we should make a vision board. I feel very vulnerable showing you this, but we're going to do it anyway because something I'm trying to do this year is actually verbalize my goals. More specifically, this is my content/writing vision board. I made this on Google Slides, and I actually made several different slides with different aspects of my life. So another one is just sort of life and relationships. My biggest focus this year with my YouTube channel is to actually get monetized. But I have here a little screenshot of someone who reached the 4,000 watch hour requirement. Also over here, I have a photo of a Google AdSense check because when you get monetized, I think Google sends something to your address to confirm that's where you live. In terms of writing, I just have a picture here of someone's Google Doc when they hit 100,000 words. We'll get to my writing goals shortly. I also have this adorable picture of Snoopy saying good writing is hard work. I also have this picture down here of an author, Cornelia Funk. I feel a little bit violating putting a picture of someone else on my vision board, but she was the best picture that I could find of an author sitting at their desk working on a book. Then I also have two photos of people with fancy cameras because I don't have a fancy camera. I film everything on my dad's GoPro, which is it's literally this big. And for a while now, I've been debating when I should upgrade to an actual camera. I know it has to happen soon. I know it's gonna upgrade my video quality by a lot, but I think I'm just waiting a little bit longer for me to feel like it's worth making that big of a financial investment in my channel because of the fact that I'm currently making zero money off of what I'm doing, and because of the fact that I, as you probably know, have a very inconsistent upload schedule. I think I need to prove to myself that I can actually be consistent and that I actually can take this very seriously in order for me to consider making that jump to getting a camera. I also have this picture of these PR packages. I by no means expect to be getting that many PR packages, but I do think, the next step after being monetized off of your own content and having ads run on your content is potentially having brand sponsorships or being sent products. It's never really something that I've thought about that much in the past because I just thought that you had to be so famous to get those things. Also, just because I didn't really think, like, I didn't believe in myself that I could be a, like, good enough creator that brands would want to work with me. I also put this in here, someone with 5,000 subscribers. I'm choosing absolutely not to have a goal for subscribers or followers or anything like that because it's so arbitrary. It would be great if I could increase my following this year, but ultimately I'm much more focused on actually improving my content. And then I just have a few little words. We have 2026, the year you take the risk, because that's definitely how I feel right now, jumping into the year, realizing that I'm going to be unemployed for the first time. I also have this one here, everything I imagine will be my reality soon. And then in the corner here, I will succeed because I am insane. I don't know if I 100% agree with that sentiment, but there's definitely a part of it that resonates with me. Okay, now that we're done with that, let's open up Notion. Here we are with my lovely new Notion page. I'll be honest, I don't really use Notion very much, but I do think it's more practical for me than exclusively using like a planner or writing things out by hand. I do like the fact that I can access it from this computer or my laptop or my phone. I also like that you can really easily just move things around and like bounce back and forth between different pages. But the goals I'm about to write on here, I'm not gonna see every day. So that's why I really want to write some stuff out by hand and then actually put it up in front of me so that I can stare at it. Okay, I think this is all that we need. We're going to keep it simple. So now we're finally getting into the nitty-gritty of what my goals are going to be this year. So, in case you don't know, in 2025, the writing that I did was all about a novel project called Project Magnolia. Project Magnolia is a story idea that I had in 2020 and that I worked on little by little by little by little all the way up until June of 2025 is when I decided, okay, I'm going to start writing again. I'm going to write the first draft of this book, and we're going to see what happens when I finally decide to write the story. When I say that I worked on it little by little over the years, what I mean is writing notes on my phone, pinning stuff to a Pinterest board, making a Spotify playlist. And as I very quickly realized, as I began to actually work on the project and try to, prep and write the first draft, I realized that I really had too many ideas and not enough substance. During the brainstorming and planning process, I was pretty overwhelmed by how much information had accumulated over the years. I succeeded in writing the first draft. It was pretty short. Getting to the end of it nearly killed me. I was feeling really good about it in the month of July when I wrote the first 30,000 words. And then as the summer went on and progressing into the fall, I began to feel more and more lost about the project. And since I finished the first draft back near the end of October, I have basically not touched the project whatsoever. So my first writing goal for 2026 is to read the first draft of Project Magnolia. This is a pretty easy goal. It's something that I knew I was going to do in the new year. I'm going to be honest with you, it's what my next video is probably going to be, is me vlogging the process of me reading through the entire first draft. But with that, I'm going to be reassessing how I feel about this project and more importantly, how I want to proceed with it in the future, and even more importantly, figure out if that's the project that I still want to focus on in 2026, or if I want to put the project aside and begin writing something completely new. It's going to be kind of a challenge to make the rest of my writing goals for the year because I still don't know how I feel about the project. But a goal that I've thought about for a while now that is not exactly the most measurable thing in the world, but I'm going to write it down anyways, is not focusing too much on word count. I think 2 months ago, I was thinking about this and I was feeling really passionate about the fact that in 2026, if I did begin drafting anything, if I started a new draft, I was writing everything from scratch, that I actually wouldn't even track my daily word count. And when you're tracking your word count, it's very easy to get caught up in your daily goals or stretching out a scene for even longer than it actually needs to be because you're focused on just trying to get the words out on the page, which I mean is perfectly fine for a first draft. But I feel like one of the reasons why I focus so much on word count and why I've made such big monthly word count goals, daily, weekly ones, is because I've just been trying to prove to myself that I actually can write, that I can write a lot, or that I can follow through with a specific numerical goal. But I think my mindset towards writing is shifting, where I'm at the point where I know that I can write. I know I can get words on the page. Now I think I need to be focusing a lot more of my energy towards making sure those words are good. And if that means that I have to sacrifice a little bit of productivity in terms of my word count production, I think that's something that I'm willing to do. I also think there's a part of this that relates to the fact that in writing vlogs, it's always so much easier for me to convey the amount of progress that I've made if I'm able to say, wow, I just wrote 2,000 words. Like, that's so crazy. I can't believe I did that. That's a lot more like compelling than me just being like, yeah, I wrote like 300 words. Or I shouldn't even say that. Like, just if I was like, oh, yeah, I worked on this chapter today. It's a lot more compelling if you have a specific word count, especially if it's a high word count. But, anyways, that's something I can discuss more once I actually begin drafting something again. My third goal is something that has kind of been like on the back of my mind for many years now, and yet I have never actually accomplished it necessarily. And that is submitting my writing, specifically submitting like short pieces of writing, whether it be to contests or to literary magazines. As a writer, I've always focused a lot more on working on novel manuscripts as opposed to working on shorter pieces, with the goal of getting them published anywhere. But now that I am studying creative writing at university and I've taken a few creative writing classes now, and I've actually had the opportunity to work on my shorter writing skills, I've learned that I can actually produce some quality, shorter work. And I think that it would be really good for my development as a writer if I actually got some experience submitting to places, experiencing rejection, although I already have experienced that. I have very little reason to believe that my writing is good enough that it will get accepted anywhere. But I think that the only way that I can change that is by submitting my work to more places until I eventually get accepted somewhere. Going along with that, just sharing my writing more. I really don't share my writing like ever. My close friends of many years know that I write. Do I ever bring it up in conversation if unprompted? No. Have they read anything related to my novel projects? No. Some of them have read some of my work that I've done for my creative writing classes, but that's pretty much it. Going with that, because I do have a platform already dedicated to my writing, it would probably be nice to actually start sharing some of my writing, get myself a little bit used to the feeling of having eyes on my work. I don't know exactly what that might look like. I don't know if it's like sharing one of my short pieces that I wrote for a class on some sort of platform. I don't know if it's like sharing an excerpt from my manuscript, like on an Instagram post, which go follow me on Instagram if you'd like. I think there's only one more writing goal I want to set, and that is to just write a new draft of something, whether it's Project Magnolia or whether it's the first draft of an entirely new project. I think it's pretty inevitable that I'm going to end up drafting something this year, even if I don't start it until like the summertime or once my upcoming semester is finished. I think I'll probably end the year with a finished draft of something. When I look at these goals, they really do seem pretty minimal, but I think really it's the whole mindset shift thing that's going to be affecting my writing this year. Just really treating myself as a writer with a capital W, someone that actually writes, someone that carves out time in their schedule to work on their writing projects, potentially someone that actually gets published in places or posts their writing somewhere. And these are also just my goals for the year. I'm going to be trying really hard to set monthly goals for every single month because, that's where you can really get into the nitty-gritty details and focus on actually accomplishing more specific things. Let's move on to my content/YouTube goals. Number 1 is going to be uploading every single week, at least for the first quarter of the year. This upcoming semester, I have a bit of a strange schedule where I actually only have to go to campus 3 days a week. And now that I'm officially going to be unemployed, that means that I basically have 4 days in a week to spend working on videos. So I'm saying it now in this video. This should hopefully be my upload for the first week of January, and then hopefully for the rest of the month you will also be seeing weekly uploads. Due to some technical difficulties, I am now back to finish up my content goals. We're going to jump straight to the next goal, which, as I already mentioned when going over my vision board, I would love to get monetized on YouTube, which, if you don't know already, to get monetized on YouTube, which basically means to have ads begin running on your videos, you need to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time in the last 365 days. Heading into this year, I am still pretty far from hitting that threshold. However, being monetized is something that has always been a dream of mine. It's always been something that has seemed so far out of reach, and it's always seemed like the one thing that will make me be a proper YouTuber. I'm certainly not expecting to suddenly become monetized and then start making a ton of money off of my videos. The day that I make 1 singular cent off of my videos is going to be an incredible day, because this is something that I have already poured so many hours of my life into doing. My next content goal is pretty simple, and that is to just post more on Instagram. I was successful in launching and posting on my Instagram page in 2025, although I didn't post on it as much as I would have liked to post. I feel like it's something that I'm not really used to doing. Back when I had this channel in 2021, this was my only real form of social media, so I didn't have experience posting on Instagram whatsoever. I think one of my issues with not posting enough on Instagram is just that I don't take enough photos in my everyday life. I also would like to maybe post a little bit more about the books that I'm reading and take a bit of inspiration from Bookstagram, but overall, really, I just want to try to be more active, take prettier pictures. Also, like every single YouTuber ever, I would like to try out making short form content, but in the past, every time I have tried to film like a TikTok or a reel style video, it has felt so unnatural to me because I only ever have made long form content. We'll see if I end up dabbling into the world of the Instagram reel. I do have a couple ideas for Instagram, like short form content that probably would work better as short videos as opposed to longer videos. So if you want to see if I succeed in any of those things I just mentioned, go follow me on Instagram. I would greatly appreciate it. So those are all of my official goals for the year that I have typed out and put on my Notion page. But now I'm going to figure out how I'm going to put them up on the space in front of me, here in front of my desk, so that I can visually be reminded of my goals every single day this year. This is what my desk area currently looks like. As you can see, the walls are bare. My Christmas tree is still up. I have my plants that are struggling. Soon I will get my really big hanging plants up on either side of my desk like I did in my old room. But for now, my focus is on getting the things on my wall. First, I'm gonna cut my little vision board out. Then I'm gonna stick it to the wall using green painter's tape because I don't know where my blue tack is. And then I'm gonna write out my goals using the only sticky notes I have access to and stick everything up right over here so that every time I sit down here at my desk, I can see them right there. I am terrible at cutting straight lines, but I think it adds to the charm. Also, obviously, my printer is not the greatest quality when it comes to the image, but I don't care. Now I'm gonna just quickly write out all of my goals on a little post-it. Ta-da! feast upon my beautiful handwriting. Here they are now on my wall, even though these are definitely temporary because the whole sticky tape job is questionable and visually I don't know how I feel about this. But for the time being, at least for the first, for the first little bit of 2026, I think it's gonna be great to have those there on my wall. Like I said, at a spot where I'm gonna see it multiple times every single day. When I sit down at my desk to begin writing or working on a video, I'm gonna literally, I'm forcing myself to see those images, which I know is exactly what a vision board is supposed to be. It's like something that you look at, and every time you look at it, it reminds you of what you're envisioning for your future. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Please subscribe if you haven't already to continue along with me to see where my writing journey goes in 2026. And other than that, I really hope that this video might have inspired you to make some goals for 2026. Maybe this is the year that you might want to start making YouTube videos as well, which in that case, I would say definitely go ahead and do it. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.